What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami, the Miami Herald show about your favorite South Florida soccer team. I'm Andre Fernandez, Deputy Sports Editor, joined as always by our beat writer extraordinaire, Michelle Kaufman, who we should have worn ties this week because we're getting a little sick of this tying business with too many
We
draws in
should have.
this
We
recent,
should have worn.
right?
That's true. We
We should
should
have
have
just
worn ties,
something
neckties. We should be.
neckties. We
Yeah,
should have done that.
we should have worn
But
neckties. Yes.
yeah,
What is it with all the ties? Three ties in a
I
row.
know. It's ridiculous, but we're going to review that. The latest, the 1-1 draw with Charlotte. Since Messi came back, 3 of those annoying draws and only 1 victory, even though he has 3 goals and 3 assists in the 4 games back. But we're going to discuss an outlandish thought that's swirling around fans thinking, are they better off without him? Crazy talk. But we're going to tell you about that. Sergio Busquets talked about a little bit about how tactics change when he's on the field as opposed to when he's not. Michelle spoke to assistant coach Javier Morales as well about Messi and his recovery, not being at 100% quite yet, but still doing what he's doing. Sergio also talked a little bit about having to play center back, some of those challenges, things of that nature. We're going to talk a little bit about the realistic or unrealistic expectations with this team, especially as they head into, as of this recording, you'll be hearing it in the morning or watching it in the morning tonight, a huge game against the Columbus Crew, their big nemesis, where they can clinch the supporter shield with a victory. After the Crew, they just have Toronto and New England after that. So they might still do it after that. But wouldn't it be sweet for this team to do it against one of their biggest foes that's in their way to potentially win an MLS Cup? And Michelle also talked to goalkeeper Drake Callender a little bit. So we'll have that interview. But Michelle, let's start with what the heck? I mean, we had Mate. I think we jinxed them. They can't seem to
I
win
know. I
again.
don't know what happened. He came back. He came back. Everyone, hallelujah. The
I
Messiah has
know.
returned. The team is going to be even better.
Yeah.
After winning all those games without him, they're going to be even better. Now they've got the best player in the world on the team. And the first game back against Philadelphia looked amazing. They won 3-1. He scored 2 goals. He had an assist. He's back. Everything's great. Now, we did drink some mate, and then 3 games
Apparently
in a
jinxed them.
row. 3 games in a row, they've had to settle for a tie. They were trying to clinch this thing already for almost 2 weeks now. Um, the it's hard to believe that the team is just tying with Messi and not winning. And there's a few things to discuss here. One is, yes, I did see some fans posting on social media. They were playing better without him. They were playing better without Messi. They're better without the GOAT. Blah blah. That is, it's blasphemy, to be honest. You're not going to tell me that anybody would have said, would you rather have Lionel Messi on your team or not have him on your team? Okay. Maybe the people who are big Cristiano Ronaldo fans might have another answer, but the truth is Lionel Messi is still Lionel Messi. And as you just mentioned, Andre, 4 games back, he's not 100%, but he only has 3 goals, 3 assists in 3.5 games. He only came in the 60th minute of one of the games. So in less than 3.5 games, he has 3 goals and 3 assists. And Messi is still Messi. But yes, the team does have to adjust again. He has to adjust, of course. He has to play himself back into peak game form. And the team also has to adjust to having him and Suarez on the field together, because when they are in the field together, as great as they are, as lethal as they are, as pistolero and godly as he is, they're not playing the defense.
No.
There is a little bit of a defensive liability when they're playing together, and the team has to line up differently and play differently. Also, the players tend to defer to him, and they're thinking of him in their mind like, got to get the ball to Messi, got to get the ball to Messi. So that's another thing that's had to be adjusted. Also, let's throw in Boosie, which we're going to talk to Boosie in a minute here. Boosie, because of these various things, because of yellow cards, because of injuries, he's been playing in the back line, center back. He is farther away from his old Barcelona teammates than he was when he's playing defensive midfielder. If he's in the back line, his passes have to be much longer to get to Messi and to get to Suarez. And so there are a lot of adjustments that they're making with Messi back, with he and Suarez playing together, with Boosie playing further back. That said, they still have not lost in this stretch. They have a win and 3 ties. They are still in first place. They're still in position to clinch the Supporters' Shield on Wednesday night tonight. They're in position to clinch that with 2 games to go, and still can mathematically break the all-time record for points. Mm-hmm. So the people that are stressing about having Messi back, it's a little bit silly. How silly is it? Let's see this particular goal that he scored against Charlotte, which, by the way, is the only goal that Miami scored. It was the equalizer. Had he not scored that goal, they would have lost. Now, that said, if Suarez had scored the open shot that he had at the very end, they would have won. However, they would have no goal if it weren't for this goal that Messi scored. And tell me who else on this team or on any team would have the vision and the accuracy to score the following goal.
You know what's incredible about him? The precision. Because that is through traffic.
There were defenders there. There were a lot of Charlotte players standing around there. That is not some open shot. Anyone else is at that point on the field and looks at all those defenders and says, no, I'm passing. And he saw an opening that was like threading a needle. I mean, it sounds cliche, but threading a needle, where he sees an opening that I don't think most people see, and then has the power and the precision with his left leg, power and precision to just send it on the exact perfect angle that it has to be to get in.
That has to be hit with enough speed where if you're the goalie, like from a fan's perspective, you're probably looking at it and going, why didn't the goalie react? The goalie has all those bodies in front of him, but at the same time, that has to come in with enough speed to take advantage of that one split second of not being able to see it coming. Because if that's hit a little bit weaker, guess what? He has enough reaction time to stop that. But it's hit with such precision and just enough speed that that's what it never gets old seeing him.
It never gets old. And that's the thing. And Javi, he was asked a couple different ways. Well, is he at 100%? How much more does he have to work to get to 100%? And is the team struggling a little bit to adjust with having him back and this and that? And Javi just broke into a huge smile and was like, we're talking about the best player in the world here that we're having to adjust to, and we will adjust. We will happily adjust. We are very happy to have the best player in the world on our team. And is he at 100%? Well, he said it's relative. Messi's 100% is better, yes, than where he is now. But he said, and they do all believe that he will be there by the playoffs, that in a couple more games of Messi getting 90 minutes and 90 minutes, that he will play himself into the tip-top peak perfect shape that he needs to be in when it matters most in the do or die games in the playoffs. But even right now, as he's getting adjusted, as they're getting adjusted to him, as he is still, Boosie said, as far as the ankle injury, that he said, I've had ankle injury before, and it's something that does take some time, even when you come back, even if you're not still injured and you're 100% healthy, it takes a little while to play that ankle back into full strength. So, he's still an incredible asset for this team. And so to suggest that the team is better without him, I would say no. What do you think?
The Chiefs have never said, oh, we have to adjust to Patrick Mahomes. The Bulls back in the day never said, oh, I have to adjust to Michael Jordan. What a great problem to have. I have to adjust to Messi. If only.
Yeah, and there is that adjustment.
There is a little bit. We're making light of it, but yes.
He's not going to run around and play defense, and Suarez doesn't, plays more than he does, but not that much. But Messi pretty much stands around. My husband always jokes, and he loves Messi, but it's a joke. But he
Yeah.
always says, he stands around. Sometimes it looks like he's just a bystander who stumbled onto the field and he's looking around going, oh, there's a soccer match going on here. Let me
Yeah.
see what's going on. Oh, I have a chance to kick the ball here. Oh my God, let me see. I'm going to score this incredible
He
goal.
he
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 walks around and
never
he looks and he
you
observes,
never
but
see him
he's
right.
not, he doesn't waste energy. He wastes
You
no
you
energy.
hardly you hardly ever see him on a dead sprint like some other strikers that are just like, tearing it up, hustling down the field. Like he does when he has to. But
When he
a
has
lot of
to.
times, a lot of times it's like he's picking his spot. He's waiting. He's playing the chess game in his head. And then the ball
Yes,
finds him, boom. And then he can make a play like that where he's kind of like toying with you. Hey, doop, and then I'm gonna
right.
hit that fast shot that no one's gonna be able to stop in the corner.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So
but
yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
the team does play different when he's on the field. Different, but better. I don't think so. I think they're better with Messi on the field.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm sure
yeah,
of it. I'm sure of it.
I think a lot of people are. A lot of people are, but it was interesting though. Sergio Busquets had something to say about how the tactics change a little bit when he's on the field, how the team's adjusting. Let's see what Sergio had to say.
Ya. Quería saber, tú conoces a Leo mejor que casi todo el mundo. Cuando él entra en el equipo otra vez después de 2 meses, ¿cómo el equipo tiene que ajustar? Porque sí es el mejor jugador del mundo y todo eso, pero algo cambia cuando él está. ¿Cómo tienen que cambiar las tácticas cuando él está en el equipo?
Bueno, quizás sí que es verdad que con lo de Luis hay un cambio de sistema, ¿no? Y eso hay que adaptarlo al equipo, pero yo creo que ya lo hicimos a principio de temporada, antes de que estuviera lesionado, de que estuviera en Copa América y bueno, para nosotros es una ventaja tenerlo, así que esas adaptaciones son naturalmente como lo veníamos haciendo desde el principio de curso. Y yo creo que incluso lo deberíamos encontrar más, ¿no? Sabemos la superioridad que nos genera, lo que es capaz de hacer y de ahí pues intentar encontrarlo más para que él pueda ser lo más letal posible y tener la mayor repercusión en nuestro juego.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
he's
have it.
saying there, yes, that they do have to change the system a little bit when he plays, but they know that the advantage that he gives them, they're very happy to have him because the advantage he gives them, is bigger and greater than any adjustment than they have to make. And he said, if anything, we need to get him more involved and get him the ball more because we know the impact that he can have and we know what he can do. So, that is one thing he talked about, that when he's playing from the back, it is a little different. And one of the things he said is he was asked about, has he ever played that position for any length of time? And he said no. When he was with Barcelona, he would play it on occasion if he had to. But this year, because of injuries, because of yellow cards, he has had to play in the back quite a bit. And he said the one positive is that no one is chasing him from the back. So he said, you can be a little more free and a little more calm because I know no one is going to, creep up on me from behind. He said, on the other hand, I am he's farther away from Leo Messi. He's farther away from Suarez. He's farther away from the attacking midfielders. And so it makes it a little more difficult. The passes, especially he said on the ground, are harder to get that far. So, he does have to adjust his game as well when he's playing in the back. When he gets to move forward, when David Martinez is healthy again, and he'll be able to move up one spot, he'll be back into that rhythm, which we saw earlier, which, the Barcelona group of Messi, Messi to Alba, Suarez, they all know each other and they played together so well. And so that's been disrupted a little bit with Messi being gone and then with Messi coming back and Busi moving back. One of the other things that Busquets talked about, he talked about a lot. And by the way, I just want to throw in here that we don't get to talk to him very often. But when we do, he's such a good quote. I mean, I would love to just sit here and play the whole. We spoke to him for 10 minutes before training, and I could write 5 different stories on each topic that he talked about. He's a really smart, introspective guy, which is how he plays as well. You can see when you talk to him, he's just so analytical He's very analytical in the way he sees the game, and even the way he describes the game to us in the media. You can see why he plays the way he does and why he's really kind of a professor of the game for the young players, because he has a good way of explaining it, seeing things, explaining things. But one of the things he talked about is just that, this team has had so many different lineups, and Tata has talked about that too. If you look at the Columbus Crew, which they're going to play, and Tata keeps saying over and over, this is the best team in the league, the most consistent team in the league, the most disciplined team in the league, all of those things, which we're going to go over when we're previewing the game. They also have basically the same lineup the entire year. They don't have players going off to Copa America. They don't have players too much, going off to national team games. They haven't had the kind of injuries to key players that this team has had. And they don't get yellow cards either. They are the least yellow cards in the entire league. Okay. The least in the league. They have 38 yellows for the season. Miami has 86 yellow cards, which ties for third in the league. So anyway, one of the things Busquets was talking about is that, considering how much turnover there has been in their lineup, considering that almost every single game Miami's playing with a different lineup, he said that it's something to be proud of, that they have done what they've done and stayed on top of the table, even with all of the changes and with all of the injuries, which I think is a valid point.
Yeah, it's definitely a valid point. Something else that Columbus is leading the way in: goals allowed, 33. Still the top team in terms of fewest goals allowed. And that's huge. That's something to be said about all that continuity,
Miami
consistency.
Miami has given up 45. The Crew has given up 33. So, they play tremendous defense. They're very disciplined. They play great defense without getting cards. And they also have consistency because they have the same lineup week after week after week for the most part. Of course, every team has some injuries, but this is a very, very formidable team. And Tata has been raving about them all season. Tata has been asked a couple of times, how would it feel for you if you get Coach of the Year? And every time he's gotten asked that, he says the same thing. If I had a vote right now, it would be for Wilfred Nancy. It would be the Columbus Crew coach. He deserves Coach of the Year. That is the best team. They won Leagues Cup this summer. They almost won Copa Campeones. They went to PKs with Club America. And let's not forget, the last time they played Inter Miami, which was in Leagues Cup in August, they were down 2-0. They were down 2-0 in the 67th minute. They won that game 3-2. They scored
a big blown lead game
in 23 minutes. They scored 3 goals in 23 minutes. Now, so there is definitely revenge on the mind for Inter Miami. Messi did not play in that game. In fact, Messi has not played in any game against the Crew. Messi has never played against the Columbus Crew.
Interesting.
Because when Messi arrived last July, I think it may be the only team he hasn't played. When he arrived last July, they had already played 2 games against the Crew at that point. So he never got to play against them last season. This season, when they played in June, he was already a Copa America. And then when they played again for Leagues Cup, he was injured. Right. So this will be the first time that the Columbus Crew plays against Lionel Messi. So that's yet another reason that this is a big game. For so many reasons, this game is a massive game. By the way, for anyone out there who does not have Apple TV, if you don't have Apple TV, you can watch this game, because this game is also going to be shown on FS1.
There you go.
This game is on FS1 and Apple TV at 7. Well, I think kickoff is actually 7:45 on Wednesday. But this game is huge. It's huge.
It's going to have a playoff feel to it. It's going to have a big implication, even though it's not entirely. I mean, the supporter shield is on the line potentially for Inter Miami. Another thing too, the Crew just leapfrogged Cincinnati. They're now the second place team in the Eastern Conference, still 8 points behind Inter Miami, but third in terms of points right now behind Inter Miami and the Galaxy. So
Yeah, and it's basically a
Meaning,
6-point game, what we call a
right.
6-point game,
6 point
because
swing. Right.
they want to, yeah, it's a swing. They want to get the 3 and prevent the Crew from getting 3. So it's
Exactly.
a 6-point differential there. It's a really big game. Like I said, Messi's first time. The Crew is a very, very good team. Their coach is very good. It's going to be a chess match between Tata Martino and Wilfred Nancy. They are considered, two of the best coaches around. They both, won titles and done things in this league. So, it's a game that everybody is really looking forward to. And Inter Miami is really desperate to win again after 3 ties in a row. No one expected, I don't think, that it was going to take this long for Miami to be in position to clinch Supporter Shield. I think people figured it was going to be before this, but this is their chance today. Like you said, they do have 2 games after Toronto and New England, who are both games that they should win. But these previous games are games they should have won also, and they ended up tying. So they really want to wrap it up. Also, the FIFA window is coming up. So, Leo Messi is probably going to go off for the Argentina national team to play against Venezuela and Bolivia, and other teams are going to be with their national teams. So they want to wrap this up tonight, Wednesday night. They want to get their Supporters Shield, even though it doesn't mean they're going to win the league. They will get home field advantage for every single round. They will have the home field advantage, and that's a really big deal that they're playing for on Wednesday night.
Well, and you want to have those last 2 matches. You want to have the luxury of some balance of continuing to get everybody sharp and gelled on the same page, and some rest in there too, to make sure guys don't get hurt before the playoffs begin, that sort of thing. But at least taking that weight off of, if those 2 are just meaningless in terms of the standings, would be huge too, of course.
Yeah, and also coming off the FIFA window, because any players, the game, against Toronto is this week, Saturday, but then there's a big break. Any of the guys that are gone with national team, they may want to, have a little bit of a rest. They could maybe rest that last New England game and be fully prepared for the playoffs. There's a lot to play for here. And this team, for all the stars that it has, for it being the most expensive team, the highest salaries and all that, they only have one little trophy in their trophy cabinet. They have a big, giant trophy cabinet at that facility. There's one little itty bitty trophy there, physically, it's a big trophy. That Leagues Cup thing is enormous. It looks like a Stanley Cup. I think it's bigger than the Stanley Cup, but they only have one piece of hardware for all of their names and all of their fame and all of their fans and all of their selling of T-shirts and selling of jerseys and prices of tickets. They only have one trophy, and it's a Leagues Cup.
And
it's the first Leagues Cup, which
the least prestigious of all these tournaments.
Least prestigious of the things that they've played in. That's the one that they have. So they really, really, really want to end this season holding up the MLS Cup as the best team in this league, because with the players that they have and the roster that they have, I'm sorry, even though Columbus Crew, very good team, LA Galaxy, very good, LA, FC, whatever, Cincinnati, this team should win MLS Cup. They should win MLS Cup. They've been on top of the league all year, even with Messi injured. Now Messi's back. Suarez is there. Everybody's there. There's no reason for them not to win.
You can't build this and not win a Super Bowl or an NBA Finals. This is their version of that. You've got to get the big one at least once after you've built this.
And now, because these guys are not young, these guys are 37.
Yep,
they're 37. This is not like, oh, we have next year, we have the year after. No, it's for now. This team was built for now. This team was built for right now. This is their first full season together. These guys are 37 years old, Suarez and Messi. This is when they have to do it. They have to do it this year, right now.
I know I keep throwing football analogies, but it's like, this is when Tampa got Brady, and it was like, they knew they had the 1-2 year window. Like, they had to get the Super Bowl, and they did. Now Inter Miami's in that same type of position. They got to get that championship. But Michelle, field invaders, what the heck's going on with that?
Pitch invaders. Yeah, 3 in one game, and they were kids. By the way, they were all 3. Where are their parents? if any of their parents are watching or listening to this show, I'm going to tell you something. You are doing a very poor job of
Oh, boy.
parenting. The minute you see your child stand up, you need to grab that child and put them back in their chair,
Yeah.
because that is just unacceptable. To have 3 children running onto the field, and Messi being Messi, he's a nice guy. He basically took a selfie with one of the kids. He basically was
Yeah.
kind of like, "Hurry up, come on, go get the selfie. Let's go up," and then pushed him away, like, "Go, go, go! Go run away because the security guards are chasing you now." But you know what? All laughing aside, it's really, really disruptive. It's very, very disruptive to the game. One of them was in a pretty critical moment at the very end of the game there, when the game is in the balance, the game is on the line, and you've got some kid running onto the field disrupting the whole game. I mean, it's not cute. It's not funny. Any parent out there who thinks it's cute, or God forbid, if any parent out there sent their kid out there, I hope that wasn't the case. But you know what? What do you think the repercussion should be? If a kid goes out there and runs around, what do you think should happen to that kid?
I mean, it's a kid. That's what's hard about it. You know what I mean? Like if it was just like if it was like a streaker and or one of these like drunk guy, people jumping in out there, that's different. But it's hard to say with a kid. Like just ban. You get you get kicked out of the stadium and that's it. I mean, I don't know. I guess
I would ban. I would
probably ban them from the stadium, right?
I would ban that kid. First of all, I would also, whatever selfie
that's probably
that
it.
kid
Yeah.
got,
I mean, what else can you do?
whatever selfie that kid got, I would have it deleted.
Delete.
Okay. Delete that selfie that you got with Messi. And I do think that
you're
kid
rewarding
and his
them.
parents,
If not, you're rewarding
that
them, and they're going to think it's worth it.
yeah, that any kid would think that a selfie with Leo Messi is worth
it.
Just that the security guards run out there and take you back to your parents. No, I think that there should be a repercussion. And, I know, and that I'm a tough disciplinarian mom, and just ask my daughter. But I think that any kid who does that, whatever pictures they got should be deleted from their phone. Number 2, they and their parents should be banned from the stadium for a certain period of time. They should not be allowed to go. It's not cute. It's not fun. It's dangerous, and it disrupts the game, and it can have an effect on the outcome of the game. It can have an effect on the outcome of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. These guys are professional athletes. They're out there. They are, in full focus, trying to focus, especially at that game, at the end of that game, and to have some kid running around, it was really obnoxious.
And
okay, I'm done with my rant. But
so Sophie's probably laughing as she's watching this, listening to you. But yeah, no, but you're right, because especially soccer, which is just the flow of the game. This isn't like in football. There's breaks in between plays, and maybe they run out there when they're in the huddle or something like that. Like, no, this is you don't stop.
You're disrupting the game. You are disrupting a professional soccer game. Players are being paid millions of dollars. Apple is paying whatever to show this game. And some kid is going to run out there, and his parents, whoever their parents were, let them just run down there and jump onto the field. I mean, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was offended. I was offended.
Switching gears into... Yeah.
No, we're not switching.
No, wait. I was going to say kind of switching gears, but yeah, still sort of on the parenting topic, just from a different side. Here's Drake Callender speaking about fatherhood.
Drake, I want to ask you, just piggybacking on that, even though it's just a few weeks, but how has it changed your perspective to wake up in the morning, come to work as a parent, when you leave the game as a parent? Has it changed your life and your just in the way you approach the game?
Yeah, immensely. I mean, I think, my life's forever changed. I think anybody who becomes a parent, the instant that the baby gets here, their life changes so much. So my perspective's changed in that, I've always supported my family, but now that there's a little baby that's fully dependent on me, I've begun to prioritize her as much as I can. Of course, I have to come in, train, and play games, but at the end of the day, my daughter is the most important thing to me. And she's only she was 2 weeks old yesterday, so she's already grown so much. And just to see that growth, to be there as a dad every day, is a blessing. And it's an opportunity for me to grow. I'm learning so much, and there's I have plenty of teammates who have kids. So they've been supportive and asking questions. They're asking how I'm doing. So it's made the start, I guess, to this new chapter in my life a bit smoother. And yeah,
And Sergio just became there's another little
yeah,
baby,
I guess
right?
September is the month of babies, you know. But yeah, it's great to welcome her into the world. And
September usually is
Yeah,
a
so
baby
two
boom, isn't
babies,
it?
they were both babies were born within a week. Drake
Yeah.
Callender had a baby girl, and Sergio Busquets had a baby girl. Well, his wife had a baby girl. They had a baby girl. Oh, his soon-to-be wife is a fiance.
Beyonce.
He also got engaged. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it was interesting to talk to Drake. You know, Drake, as I mentioned earlier in the season, when I did the story on him, he's such a thoughtful guy and away from the field. Boosie is too. I mean, some of these guys are just great. If you were able to just sit and have a cup of tea or mate with one of these guys, they're two guys that you would want to chat with. You know, some of the guys are very good players, but they're a little bit boring. I'll be honest with you. But Busquets is great to talk to, and Drake Callender is another one who's really great to talk to. And he was talking there about becoming a dad 2 weeks ago. And I know that the first game after his daughter was born, he left the field and he told the PR director, he was like, oh my God, this feels so different. Like I'm leaving my first game as a dad and I'm going to go home and I have a child in my house, you know, and it does change. It changes your perspective on everything when you become a parent. And so for these guys, you know, sometimes we forget that they are people, they're human beings. They have milestones going on in their lives, just like everybody else. By the way, speaking of, I do have a story that's going to be coming out in the next 48 hours where I had to sit down with Sergei Kristov, who's the Ukrainian center back for Inter Miami. And it was a very, very interesting conversation about how he is trying to focus on his job here with the war raging on in Ukraine, very close to where his family lives. So that's a story that I will encourage you to read on MiamiHerald.com. But yeah, I try when I can to show that these guys are people, you know, and Drake is a perfect example. He's dealing with new fatherhood, dealing with the fact that he's sleep deprived, as any young father knows. Sergio Busquets is probably also sleep deprived these days. They probably have two big bags under their eyes. They're both going through important life moments while also having to focus on these important games that are coming up. And the same with Sergei Kristov in a different way, in a negative way.
Yeah, you had mentioned that I think last week too about Christoph, and that's yeah, really interesting story for sure. I'm sure you know we haven't dealt with something like that. We don't know what that's like. You know, sadly, you know, to have a situation where your family's at risk like that, in just a bad situation in his home country. So definitely looking forward to reading that one for sure, Michelle. I'm sure that's gonna be good. But well, and looking forward to next week too, to talking about this this weekend of games for Inter Miami. Obviously, the big one tonight against Columbus will dictate a lot about what happens on the weekend in their next match. But we'll be back next week on Inside Inter Miami to cover it all for you. And again, we appreciate you watching, we appreciate you listening. Remember, YouTube, MiamiHerald.com, not just for this, but for all of Michelle's work covering the team. And if you're listening to us, Apple, on iTunes, Spotify, available on all those platforms. So until next week, for Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez. We hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see if any of that happens in some of these games. Until then, see you, everybody.